What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. God, our loving Father, today we celebrate the 50th anniversary of World Earth Day. On this day, you call each one of us to focus our attention and care on our common home, Earth, and to make meaningful and sustainable responses to her suffering. Enlighten our minds and hearts. Bless each one of us to reflect, to see the need of the earth, to care for our environment, and to bring changes in our day-to-day life to make this world a better place for everyone to live in. Bless us, bless our Mother Earth, bless all the people who are suffering, especially due to this global pandemic. We make this prayer to Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Hello, Lisa. Lisa, you can switch off your video and others can be there. Yeah. Yes, so let us go ahead with this. Thanks, Lisa, for the prayer. Now I invite Father Paul, our Executive Director, to give the welcome address and introduce this meeting. Father Paul.
Thank you, Rajesh. Good morning, everyone. आप सबको मेरा नमस्कार.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning,
Good
Father.
morning, Father.
आपको भी हमारा नमस्कार.
Good morning,
Good
Father.
morning, Father.
Shubha Shakal.
Very good.
Thank you.
Good morning, Father.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My dear friends, it's indeed very nice to be with you to celebrate this World Earth Day, 50th year of this World Earth Day observation. We are here to pay our tributes to our Mother Earth. Mother Earth, who provides us for everything. She is our mother, and we all love our mother, and we are here today to say loudly that we love, we regard our Mother Earth. You know that I am speaking from Delhi, and Delhi, one of the most polluted city it was, maybe a smoked, choked city, which we have been experiencing in the past days and years. But my dear friends, today, as I look outside, the sky is very clear. And the stars are brighter at nights these days. Birds have come back. The trees are greener. And there are more rains these days. Beautiful feeling, isn't it? I do believe that all these because of the lockdown. This lockdown for almost a month have really changed the nature. Maybe the nature is itself paying tributes to Mother Earth with this beautiful weather. And we know that all this is because of this corona virus and the subsequent lockdown. Maybe I believe that God has his plans. In one of the meetings that we had, the gurus of our religion, they spoke something beautiful like this. We live in a culture. All our actions, all our behaviors, all our experiences, all become part of that culture in which we live. And we know that this culture is not something which is becoming. It's not something which we would like to have. It's being polluted. It's being contaminated. We feel sorry about all this new culture with all its expressions that is emerging in our society today. But my dear friends, I feel that there is a very strong linkage of this culture to the nature. And subsequently, the nature speaks of our future. So if you can bring some connection between the culture, nature, and future, we see that there is a lot of lessons staying there for us to take into our lives. If the culture is good, if the nature is kept in balance, it's being kept in the right spirit that it should be, then it ensures a better future for us. So there is a beautiful connect between culture, nature, and future. I think this World Earth Day, and more so the context in which we celebrate this World Earth Day, the context of COVID-19, is a wake-up call for the humanity to build a new culture for a better future. Let us commit ourselves. Let us resolve ourselves so that we become the custodians of a good culture around us, taking care of the nature beautifully, and therefore thereby building a better future for us and for the generations to come. So as we pay tribute to our Mother Earth, let us say loudly, Jai Bhumi, Janma Bhumi. Thank you so much. God bless you. I welcome each and every one of you to this beautiful celebration of World Earth Day, and wish that you have a wonderful time deliberating, reflecting on this particular important theme of Earth. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot, Father, for a beautiful message and emphasizing on the relationship between culture, nature, and how it decides our future. Thank you very much. I now invite Ankit Chauhan, who is our colleague at Caritas India, and he will give a brief introduction on today's webinar. Ankit, are you there?
So connection problem is the sound.
Ankit?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, you have 2 to 3 minutes to give an introduction to the webinar. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Hello, everyone. A very warm good morning to each one of you. I hope you can see and hear us well. I would like to request you to kindly turn off your video and audio while a speaker speaks for clarity of sound. You may turn on your video and audio when you're addressing the webinar. Uh, Earth Day today, that is April 22, is observed as Earth Day, while the coronavirus COVID-19 has been spreading around the world and dominating news headlines, thoughts and attention, the need to take climate action has remained as urgent as ever. Earth Day 2020 is not just the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, but also the anniversary of the signing of Paris Agreement to take climate action. Marking its half-century anniversary and selecting climate action as its theme, Earth Day 2020 was already poised to be a historic event. An occasion planned to bring people physically together across a series of events, COVID-19 has now prompted a dramatic shift to completely digital and virtual platforms. Through this webinar, Climate Desk ECOSIDE, Caritas India, in partnership with Earth Day Network, will talk about the health of our Mother Earth. We're going to understand sustainable ways of living and addressing questions like what would it look like if we emerged from this pandemic with a fierce new commitment to take care of each other? What would it look like to absorb the lessons of pandemic and to fight for a world in which everyone is right? So without further delay, let's start the seminar. I'm delighted to introduce the moderator of today's conference, Mr. Rajesh Upadhyay, HOD, Partner Support Services, Caritas India. Over to you, Rajesh, sir.
Thanks a lot, Ankit. Today is really a very important occasion, as Ankit and Father Paul have already mentioned. We are really going to learn a lot in today's deliberations. Now I will invite Father Jolly, our Assistant Executive Director, to give the keynote address for today's subject. Father Jolly.
My dear friends of the earth, every year on April 22nd, Earth Day marks the anniversary of the birth of the modern environmental movement, which started in the year 1970. On this beautiful day, I greet each of you with affection through this virtual portal. As we prepare to mark 50 years of Earth Day this year in 2020, let us take a brief look at the last half century of mobilization for our action. The first Earth Day observed in 1970 gave a voice to an emerging public consciousness about the state of our planet. In the decades leading up to the first Earth Day, Americans were consuming vast amounts of leaded gas through massive and inefficient automobiles. Industry bleached out smoke and sludge with little fear of the consequences from either the law or the bad press. Air pollution was commonly accepted as the smell of prosperity. Until this point, mainstream America remained largely oblivious to environmental concerns and how a polluted environment threatens the planet life. The idea for the first Earth Day started with Senator Gaylord Nelson, a junior senator from Wisconsin, who had long been concerned about the deteriorating environment in the United States. Then in January 1969, he and many others witnessed the ravages of a massive oil spill in Santa Barbara, California. Inspired by the student anti-war movement, Senator Nelson wanted to infuse the energy of student anti-war protests with an emerging public consciousness about air and water pollution. Senator Nelson announced the idea for a teach-in in college campuses and the national media and persuaded Pitt McCloskey, a conservation-minded Republican congressman, to serve as his co-chair. They recruited Dennis Hayes, a young activist, to organize the campus teach-ins, and they chose April 22nd, a weekday falling between spring break and final exams, to maximize the greatest student participation. They changed the name to Earth Day, which immediately sparked national media attention and caught on across the country. The first Earth Day observance inspired 20 million Americans at that time, 10% of the total population of the United States, to take to the streets, parks, and auditoriums to demonstrate against the impact of 150 years of industrial development, which had left a growing legacy of serious human health impacts. Thousands of colleges and universities organized to protest against the deterioration of the environment, and there were massive rallies in cities, towns, and communities. Groups that had been fighting individually against oil spills, polluting factories, power plants, road savages, toxic dams, pesticides, freeways, the loss of wilderness, and the extinction of wildlife united on Earth Day around these shared common causes. The Earth Day 1970 achieved a rare political alignment, enlisting support from Republicans and Democrats, rich and poor, urban dwellers and farmers, business and labor leaders. By the end of 1970, the first Earth Day led to the creation of the United States Environmental Protection Agency and the passage of other first of their kind environmental laws, including the National Environment Education Act, the Occupation Safety Health Act, and the Clean Air Act. 2 years later, Congress passed the Clean Water Act. These laws have protected millions of men, women, and children from disease and death and have protected hundreds of species from extinction. 2 decades later, as 1990 approached, a group of environmental leaders approached Dennis Hayes once again to organize another major campaign for the planet. This time, Earth Day went global, mobilizing 200 million people in 141 countries and lifting environmental issues onto the world stage. Earth Day 1990 gave a huge boost to recycling efforts worldwide and helped pave the way for the 1992 United Nations Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. It also prompted President Bill Clinton to award Senator Nelson the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor given to civilians in the United States for his role as Earth Day founder. As the new millennium approached, Hayes agreed to spearhead another campaign, this time focused on global warming and a push for clean energy. With 5,000 environmental groups in a record 184 countries reaching out to hundreds of millions of people, Earth Day 2000 built both global and local conversations, leveraging the power of internet to organize activists around the world, while also featuring a drum chain that traveled from village to village in Gabon, Africa. 30 years on, Earth Day 2000 sent world leaders a loud and clear message. Citizens around the world wanted quick and decisive action on global warming and clean energy. Still, a decade later, Earth Day 2010 came at a time of great challenge for the environmental community to combat the cynicism of climate change deniers, well-founded oil lobbyists, reticent politicians, a disinterested public, and a divided environmental community with the collective power of global environmental activism. In the face of these challenges, Earth Day activism re-established itself as a major movement for global action for the environment. Over the decades, Earth Day networks across the globe has brought hundreds of millions of people into the environmental movement, creating opportunities for the civic engagement and volunteerism in 193 countries. Earth Day envisages and engages more than 1 billion people every year and has become a major stepping stone along the pathway of engagement around the protection of the planet. Today, Earth Day is widely recognized as the largest secular observance in the world, marked by more than 1 billion people every year, as a day of action to change human behavior and create global environment continues with increased urgency as the ravages of climate change become more and more apparent every day. As the awareness of our climate crisis grows, so does civil society mobilization, which is reaching a fever pitch across the globe today. Illusioned by the low level of ambition following the adoption of Paris Agreement in 2015 and frustrated with the international environment lethargy, citizens of the world are rising up to demand far greater action for our planet and its people. As the social and cultural environments we saw with the first Earth Day in 1970 are rising up again today. A fresh and frustrated generation of young people are refusing to settle for platitude. Instead, taking to the streets by the millions to demand a new way forward. Digital and social media are bringing these conversations, protests, strikes, and mobilizations to the global audience, uniting a concerned citizenry as never before and catalyzing generations to join together to take on the greatest challenges that humankind has faced. By tapping into some of the learnings, outcomes, and legacy of the first Earth Day, people across the world who are concerned about the future of our planet are seeking to build cohesive, coordinated, and diverse environmental movements and campaigns, one that goes to the very heart of what Earth Day are all about, empowering individuals with the information, the tools, and the messaging, and the communities needed to make an impact and thus drive the change. The year 2020 marks the 50th anniversary of Earth Day campaign. Observing the Earth Day each year is an opportunity for us to provide a voice to the emerging environmental consciousness and putting environmental concerns on the front page of our human thinking and actions, and thus shaping the future of 21st century environmentalism. To mark the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, Caritas India is happy to organize this webinar with the social theme, Earth Needs Our Care, which is very relevant in the present context of the global pandemic of COVID-19. There are indeed enormous challenges, but also the vast opportunities for promoting concerted and concrete actions on environmental protection and climate change. Climate change represents the biggest challenge to the future of humanity and the life support systems that make our world habitable. Urgent action is required to save our Earth for the present and future generations. Caritas India's climate actions are essentially guided by the different principles of Catholic social teachings, such as the dignity of the human person, common good, solidarity, participation, and stewardship of creation. Being a faith-driven organization, Caritas India firmly believes that God has created this universe not just for the humans and not just for some wealthy people, for that matter, but in such a way as to ensure interconnectedness and interdependence among its creation. A healthy ecosystem where we the humans, the birds and animals, live together in total harmony. On the contrary, will provide us with a better and more sustainable environment and healthy living. Everything here on earth is interconnected and interrelated. And we, the humans, are united as brothers and sisters on our wonderful earthly pilgrimage, woven together by the love of God, the love of our neighbor, and love for our planet with its millions of species of creatures. And that we are all belonging to one human family. And this earth and our planet is our common home during our earthly life. We nurture a symbiotic relationship with nature and hence are called to protect and promote our interconnectedness with all living beings and preserve and conserve the biodiversity of the earth. While COVID-19 may keep ourselves socially distanced and under the lockdown for some time, I firmly believe that it will not keep our united voices locked down in our fight for environmental protection and our Earth's biodiversity preservation. Together, let us resolve to create a more just world and a more decent world for all the living beings of our beloved planet. Let us always believe that together we are more. Finally, I appreciate the team from Caritas India's Climate Desk and EDN in organizing this important webinar and wish every success in the deliberations and discussions aimed at propelling concerted Earth actions for ourselves and for our upcoming generations. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Father.
Thanks a lot, Father Jolly, for this keynote address. The participants, I'm sure, came to know a lot about how the Earth Day movement has evolved, and also the future has challenges, but it also has hope in these very challenging times of Corona crisis. It has shown us how Earth can do better with less intervention from human beings. We all have been connected with Earth Day Network, and I see in the participants list uh, that we have participants from not only Caritas India staff, but many of our partner directors and staff from their side, right from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka to Kerala to Assam. We have our partners joining this discussion. And many of them have taken good action on the Earth Day network activities. So now I invite Ms. Nishu Kaul, who has been the country director for India and Southeast Asia for Earth Day Network, and a reason for all of us to be here together with their initiative. I invite Ms. Nishu Kaul to speak.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you, we can hear you.
Okay.
So first of all, a very good morning to all of you. Happy Earth Day. Just a small correction to what Rajesh ji said. I'm not the country director, but the director for Earth Day for South and Southeast Asia. And I'm very pleased to meet this wonderful, amazing team of Caritas who we have been partnering with for last 1 year. And we have done incredible, thanks to Ankit, and wonderful programs from on the ground have happened. So before I begin my presentation, I would just like to emphasize and repeat what Father Jolly also had to mention. Earth Day is a global commemoration and a very important one for us, celebrated every year on April 22. Given the current COVID crisis, we had a lot of activities planned, and which we were doing in a lot of campaign mode. As Caritas very clearly knows, we had started activities not just for April 22, but have been going on since last 1 year. And we were hoping this to be one of the largest civic mobilization movements, similar to what had happened in 1970, with millions coming down on the streets and talking about climate action. But with this, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, now, and with the current COVID pandemic, we all know and have seen that we now need to connect more as a global community, all united in a fight to protect the health and welfare of our planet and our people. In support of this global movement, a lot of illustrious and eminent environmental advocates, celebrities, musicians, and government officials have been commemorating Earth Day. You all can see what all is. There's a lot going on, which we have been posting from our social platforms of Earth Day Network, both DC and India, and we'll also be doing an Earth Day live very soon, which will last for the next 3 days, showing the global common concern for humanity and planet Earth. In India, hundreds of organizations have moved to the digital space and to commemorate this 50th anniversary. I would now like to just show you a little bit of what the finest 9 musicians of India have given their tribute to. This is a tribute for Mother Earth. It's an amalgamation of styles rendered by some of the finest musicians of India, which includes Bombay Jayashree, Kaushiki Chakrabarti, who are also Earth Day Network ambassadors, Hansraj Hans, Shankar Mahadevan, Mahesh Kale, and many more other. And these are a tribute in 8 languages of India. So I'll just play it for you. And with this, we also hope that this brings a new light of hope, inspiration, and positivity to our current, crisis that we all are facing, and we are living in completely troubled times. So we hope that this song, which has been catching up really fast, it has gone viral all over today. We hope that this song is able to do that, and is a small tribute from here in India. So I'll just play it now. Just to check, are you all able to listen to the music?
Yes, we can listen.
Okay, perfect.
மண்ணில் மரமாக வீணில் மழையாக நலமே நல்கும் இயற்கையே தாய்மையில் வடிவாக தெய்வத்தின் நிழலாக நடந்தாய் என்றென்றும் வாழியவே வாழியவே வாழியவே
धरती माँ प्रणाम, धरती माँ प्रणाम, तुझ पर निर्भर हम, धरती माँ प्रणाम, धरती माँ प्रणाम।
नतमस्तक हो या धरणीला, माय जगाची यावनीला. नतमस्तक हो या धरणीला, माय जगाची यावनीला. हिच्या गर्भात गूढ रहस्य, जीवन तत्व पूर्ण पवित्र. युगानुयुगे ही देई जीवन, जगण्याची हीच संजीवन, जगण्याची हीच संजीवन.
धरणी वसुधे वसंत वर्ण विलोली, प्रणामम् आत्म प्रणामम्, अपराधं कुरुते निकाकणम्, सर्वं जनिक्युं मण्डिल, सर्वं काकुं निञ्जि. वसुधेवी याथार्थ्यं, प्रणाममात्म प्रणामम्.
धरतीचे तू मारी लाडकी, हूँ पुत्र छू तू मावडी. हूँ तारा आसरे सदा, वंदन तने वसुंधरा.
गण गण को जीवनीಡುವ ಭುವಿ ನಿನ್ನನು ನಾ ಪೊರೆಯುವೆ. ಗಣ ಗಣ को जीवनीಡುವ ಭುವಿ ನಿನ್ನನು ನಾ ಪೊರೆಯುವೆ.
धरती माँ प्रणाम, धरती माँ प्रणाम, धरती माँ प्रणाम, धरती माँ प्रणाम. हे धरती लख लख प्रणाम, धरती माँ तेरे ते निर्भर असी, सदियां तो दित्ती सबनूं जिंदड़ी.
So there you heard Dharti Ma Pranam. I'm so sorry. Can you all hear me? I'm so sorry that the video.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. I'm so sorry that the video Ankit just told me you all were not able to see. I had displayed it here on my system, hoping that all of you would also be able to see the video, which has all the 9 musicians shown there. Extremely unfortunate that it wasn't possible. We all are technologically a little bit disadvanced, but I do hope that you will all be able to see Dharti Ma on YouTube, Earth Day Network YouTube channel, and it is also being posted through our social platforms. So if you get a chance, please do visit. It's an incredibly well composed song and beautifully sung by these 9 musicians of India. So we hope that this is one of our greatest and grandest tribute given the current unfortunate times. Just want to check because I plan to now show you some slides that I put together. Are you able to see the slides?
No, Nishu. No, we can't see.
Can you help me there with what I need to do? I think I'm doing something wrong on the Teams that it's.
You just need to press
You can
on the
share your
share
screen.
screen. Yeah.
Share screen next to mute
There
button.
is a options called more action.
Can you see my desktop now? I've shared desktop.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, it is coming now. Yeah, great.
I'm so sorry for the confusion earlier. I really hope that we could all see Dharti Ma song together, but never mind. So I think Father Jolly really covered well what Earth Day Network started with and how we began. This is just to give you a short summary, which Father Jolly has given in larger detail. But 1970 made a truly incredible mark in the history of US when with the first mobilization that happened with US Senator Gaylord Nelson and Dennis Hayes, who is the first founder of Earth Day Network, when they came together, and he was still a young boy from Harvard University, and it became a huge success with just 20 million, that is 10% of the US population at that time, coming together to mark Earth Day. What happened and why is it so significant is because this led to the creation of United States Environmental Protection Agency that also then led to the passage of Clean Air, Clean Water and Endangered Species Acts. So in the decades since then, Earth Day Network has been growing through partnerships. Our name says network. So we have been working together in collaboration with various organizations, including Caritas India, for instance, here in India, who share with our vision of environmental progress and stewardship. This is just to give you in brief what Father Jolly had also earlier mentioned. 22 April 1970, 195 countries coming together today to coordinate and mark global celebration. And we have over 1 billion people commemorating Earth Day every day. And the number of organizations this year gone up with 75,000 organizations commemorating it. So as you will all see and notice that it's not just a day, it's a movement, and it's not just Earth Day Network's movement, but a movement of people, because this is the first and the largest, most diverse global mobilization in defense of environment in history. We hoped that this year we would be making it as successful as it was way back in 1970, because this was supposed to be our golden jubilee for Earth Day. But given the current COVID pandemic and how we all are extremely locked down in our own homes and tiny spaces, we had to immediately change our strategies just last month from doing on-ground activities to digital, and more than ever now, because we realize that a united call for bold action, it's extremely crucial that we join hands now, because coronavirus has been a ray of hope for environmentalists also around the globe, who have been saying that climate crisis is real, climate action is needed. No one was listening to us. But now with what has happened and with complete lockdown stage, we see this as a ray of hope from the God's own sign that we need to stop now and take climate actions immediately. And we feel at Earth Day that this is a nature's own way of commemorating Earth Day, and has been a blessing in disguise for us. So to mark 50 years of Earth Day, we have come up from India with some of the key campaigns that we are, as we speak, displaying on our social platforms. To begin with, what we did this year was we brought together voices of 50 youth, because we really believe at Earth Day Network, and you will see in the upcoming slides that what we've done with Caritas India as well, we have been trying and mobilizing youth to plan climate strikes, climate rallies, speak up, through different means and modes to basically demand for climate action. So with this campaign, we now have 50 voices from over 17 countries of South and Southeast Asia who have not just spoken about their own commitment. So these are 50 young environmentalists who have been doing great job in terms of either native tree plantations or waste management or conserving biodiversity, protecting trees, and lots more. And they have also, they've voiced what they want their governments and societies to do as an act of green for Earth. And all these youth will be featured today as we speak to as a common call of action, which says that 50 youth, 50 voices, and to commemorate 50 years with one message: climate action. The other, I've already played Dharti Ma. We will also be having today a live concert for a healthy planet with our Earth
PowerPoint projector देथे मैं देखा था मने
with
अच्छा उदी कनेक्शन टा तो मैं इथे प्लस एखन 90 हो है तो हुआ
with our Earth Day Network ambassador Ricky Cage, presenting today with other 5 Grammy winners, 40 musicians, and this will be played today live at 5 p.m. His song is called "Shine Your Light," and it's again, as global solidarity with other organizations, including WWF, UNFCCC, to raise the Solidarity Response Fund for WHO, given this crisis. We also have a number of campaigns, and I won't go in details, but these are, we've been asking children and youth to write letters to ET, and we have got an amazing response from over 20,000 youth who have been writing these letters to ET, saying what they, their own messages, poems, and their commemorations, they're holding placards for hope. So all of these are also going to be displayed, and this is one of our digital campaign. We have another campaign because we work a lot on renewables. So we have a campaign called Make a Bright Choice, wherein we hope that once the pandemics are over, this will also be one of the biggest on-ground campaigns, and we hope that 95% of LED that is recyclable can be used over time, and we'll be able to replace those incandescent bulbs that have been there in our societies for a long time. So with that, we have other global commemorations going on through our partners. There is a snakes and ladder game that you may all have seen. It's gone digital, so people and children can see it, and they can play it from the comforts of their home. So as I said, Digital Earth Day, because of the pandemic, we had to just plan it in the last 1 month, and we had to do it quite quickly to make it also more sensible for the people, given the kind of very different lives that we are leading now. So these were some of the major campaigns from India, but we do have our other ongoing projects. Like most of you would know, we have campaigns running, environmental education campaigns running throughout the year that range from protecting our species to organic movement, to end plastic pollution, to planting trees, healthy energy, low carbon lifestyles, and many more. I will not go into details. We also have a program wherein we commemorate and celebrate young people who do incredible work for environment, and we award them with an Earth Day Network certificate each month. And this has been become a quite a prominence for these young people, and gives them a sense of incentive to be recognized by Earth Day Network, and develop our group of young people who have been ambassadors for change. So as we say at Earth Day Network, there are no borders that contain Earth's air and water. So investing for a cleaner air and cleaner environment is investing to safeguard our common heritage. There is no looking back. Coming back on the Caritas presentation, so we have had an incredible last 1 year of engaging with Caritas India. As you will see on the slides, we have covered over 9 states from India, ranging from Bihar to Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Manipur, and a lot has been done over this period of 1 year. So in a way, we have been hopeful that even though we were not able to achieve what we really wanted to achieve for Earth Day in terms of commemorating on-ground events, but we have already done quite a lot in terms of what we aim to set out to in the last 1 year. As you will see on the screen, there are some pictures being displayed of programs that Ankit has helped put together. Congratulations, Ankit, for putting together a really great program over the last 1 year. We know that you have been really active with this initiative and taking lead on this partnership. So some of the major campaigns, as you will see, youth-led climate change strikes, Trees for Earth, Recycle for Life, Artists for Earth, Cleanliness Drives, and Plastic Freedom Challenge. So I just leave you with some of the pictures. I don't think I need to make a detailed mention of this, but as you will see from the screen, there's a lot that has happened over this last 1 year, and we are truly inspired by the work of Caritas India and what we set out to do today to mark 50 years of Earth Day. We really hope that you all will be able to join us for this global movement, as you already have, and we will mark today 50 years of Earth Day through the programs that we have already scheduled and are ongoing on our platforms, and hope to join you and see you all. If you can all log in onto the Earth Day Live, you'll be able to listen to and tune into the great foot tapping musics and hopeful, positive stories of action from different parts of the world. Thank you all.
So thanks, Ms. Shishu, for your very beautiful song and also very inspiring presentation. I could see a lot of posters and images about the work done by our partners, and many of whom have also joined this webinar and are here. Earth Day Network, as we say, that though Caritas and Caritas partners have already been very active on environment related issues, but Earth Day Network has given us definitely a lot of motivation, inspiration, and push to intensify our activities on environment protection and climate action. And that has really moved on in last 1 year, as you also shared. So thank you very much. Also, and for the participants, I would like to share that we have a panel with us now. And though we have taken a little more time in our deliberations so far, I will request the coming panel speakers to be a little shorter. And after the panel speakers, we have about 4 panel speakers. Once they have spoken, then we will have the question answer session, and whoever wants to ask a question, they can give their names in advance in the chat box. That will also be good. So now I invite our panel speaker, Dr. Haridas, on the subject Earth Needs Care. Dr. Haridas is the lead for Climate Desk and ECOSIDE at Caritas India. Many of you would be knowing he is a very senior professional and champion of the cause for the cause of environment. So I invite Dr. Haridas. Dr. Haridas, please take over.
Thank you, Rajesh ji. Thank you very much. Wish you all a very happy World Earth Day. As we all know that the theme of World Earth Day this year is climate action, and it is the 50th anniversary year. As Ms. Nishu mentioned just now, it is not a day, it is a moment. And she mentioned for a good future, our voice should be loud, not just loud, it should be very, very loud. If we want to take care of the earth, if we want the future generation to live on this earth, we have to have real action. Now, climate change has been the most pressing topic for this 50th anniversary year, and we are very happy that the climate desk of Caritas India is the new desk that is formed in Caritas with a strong energetic team in it, and we are planning to do a lot on climate change and climate action. As we all have realized that good health of this planet means good health of all those living on it. Our elders used to have a symbiotic relationship with nature. That is the beauty of our elders. They used to have a symbiotic relationship with nature. They were taking care of the nature. They were taking care of the earth resources while using all the resources. They were not exploiting resources. They were using it, but not exploiting. So taking care of this Mother Earth is very, very important to our well-being. We have realized it for the last few days. We are realizing how important the health is. God has created this universe in such a way to ensure interconnectedness and interdependence among its creations. By protecting the habitat of other species of God's creation, they will not enter the human habitations for their food and shelter. So biodiversity, diversity act as a protective layer to prevent the spread of diseases from animals to human. We all know that this COVID-19 coronavirus is transmitted from animals to humans. As a healthy ecosystem where our guests, the birds and mammals live together in total harmony, will provide us a better environment. With no rooms for the spread of diseases, it is high time that we reset the lost equation among the living beings and bring back the diseased earth back to its state of harmony and peace. Earth is crying. Earth is diseased. Earth actually to be admitted in the intensive care unit. That is the halat of our earth, Mother Earth. So at least a few days during lockdown is a great chance for the future. Some people are asking me to put on the video, so let me do that. I thought of switching off it. So at least a few days during lockdown is a great chance for our Mother Nature. The ecosystem started flourishing with the lockdown announced by the government. There is drastic reduction in the vehicular pollution and industrial operations as grounded to a halt with no human interactions to spoil the nature, and a resultant improvement in the air quality. Father Paul mentioned in his speech that in Delhi, the air quality is improving. Not only in Delhi, everywhere in this world, air quality has improved. God's creations are having a better chance. Birds and butterflies are enjoying their lives now. So this is the chance for the resources, the natural resources, God creations to live peaceful as we are locked down. So the earth is not just for human beings. We have realized that the earth is not only for human beings, but for others as well. And hence, protecting the rights. We talk about the rights of human beings. The rights of Mother Nature is very critical and is very important to be taken care of. So the global, as we know that the temperature is increasing, and the main cause of the current global warming trend is human expansion of greenhouse effect. It is easy to ignore what is going on with climate change when we don't immediately feel its effect. Climate change will start hitting closer to our home and much sooner than we think. We are already experiencing it. it is very important that we have to bother about it. Not only bother about human development, the time has come for us to think of our Mother Earth. And with the increase of Earth's temperature due to global warming, we are going to see higher evaporations and heat transfer, which is connected very well with water depletion. Water level is going down, and water is going to be a major threat. People are buying water when we get enough water. When India is getting 1,118 millimeter rain, we buy water. And low soil moisture is going to be a problem with the change, the rise in temperature. Loss of micro and microorganisms in the soil and hence affecting the crop productivity, crop loss affecting farmers, especially smallholders. Poor farmers, smallholder farmers are at stake because of the increase in temperature and global warming. The climbing temperature brought about by climate change have given rise to larger pest problems. Pest and diseases are increasing, and honeybees still have not found a way to adapt to the new temperature. As a result, farmers and the crops are really suffering. So, though the average annual rainfall of our country is 1,100 millimeter. Since we face drought and floods situation every year. Every year this is a phenomenon, and it varies from one place to the other place. And large trees are cut and uprooted every year, leading to the release of more carbon dioxide. The excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides find their way to groundwater and food we consume, which is affecting the health disasters. Cancer is spreading, kidney problems, liver complaints, all that are connected with the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink. People who do not care about earth have no problem polluting it with harmful chemicals and toxins. However, what they do not realize is that their actions are harming both themselves and those around them. So we are going to pay for it. From birds and bees to trees and crops, every single living thing relies on planet Earth and its resources to remain alive. Without a healthy planet, humans, animals, planets, plants, and everything in between have nowhere to live and nothing to survive on. Only human beings can do something to make change and ensure that the earth is safe. The time has come to alter our everyday life for the sake of the earth and environment. The idea of living a more eco-friendly lifestyle can be daunting. There are many small ways to make big differences. So, in honor of Earth Day, we are here to take care of our planet Earth, not just for Earth's sake, but also for our health and livelihood. I have few suggestions to make that we can do in our simple way. As she has mentioned, energy saving measures is one of the very important thing that she has mentioned in one of the slides. Energy saving measures such as solar and water helps in reducing the effect of climate change in the local level. A major cause of climate change is carbon dioxide emission from burning coal for energy generation. So by replacing all ordinary light bulbs with LED, we can reduce carbon dioxide emission Switch off all the electronic devices when it is not in use or required. Another suggestion from my side is planting more trees, different types of species, not only one type, not only rubber or not only coconut trees or not only jamun trees. We have to mix it. There should be different types of species, plant species to be planted. Planting multi-species trees means less emission of carbon dioxide, as trees and plants play a vital role in the balancing of carbon dioxide emission and oxygen release. We need to plant different types of plants wherever there is open space. Do not worry whether it is your land or anybody's land. Open space, please try to plant fruit trees and other plants wherever possible. Another important suggestion that I have is to promote soil and water conservation measures. As I said already, that our country is getting 1,100 millimeter rain, varying from one place to the other place. Some place it is 2,500 millimeter, some place it is 100 millimeter, some place it is 700 millimeters. So it varies from one place to the other. But the time has come for us to conserve every drop of it, so that we can conserve and preserve and protect it for the next generation. There are simple ways of water recharging and harvesting, and we should do that. Fourth suggestion from our side is promoting sustainable farming practices. There is a reason why we have mentioned this one. That in the UNFCCC discussions, lot of talk about energy and like that, but there is less discussion about the release of carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide and all from agriculture. I would like to mention one important thing, that the form of nitrogen provided by chemical fertilizers are resulted in the emission of nitrous oxide. Hope you all are aware of it. When you use chemical fertilizers and pesticides, it is also emitting nitrous oxide to the atmosphere. And the shocking news is that these nitrous oxides are 300 times more damaging than carbon dioxide in contributing to greenhouse gases. So it is very, very, very urgent that farmers should have an alternative to promote sustainable farming practices without the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. And Caritas India has promoted sustainable farming systems in many places, and there are wonderful models and researches that is taken place by the team Caritas. The fifth suggestion is we have to promote waste management, household waste management. And it is very, very important that we have to go for simple methods of waste management like vermicomposting, pipe composting, EM composting, and there are a lot of models that we tried to promote. The last thing I would like to share is end the burning of plastics. Many state governments have stopped the use of plastic use, but still there is a lot of plastic use. But then we have to replace plastics into degradable cloth bags or paper bags, etc. One important thing I would like to mention is that when we go to remote villages, they used to burn plastics, which is producing carcinogenic dioxin. So it is very, very important that we have to join together in taking care of this Mother Earth. And it is in our hand. If we do not take a step forward, Mother Earth will be still sick and she will start crying. When Mother Earth is crying, when she is sick, we also will be sick. We have to be in the lockdown for years and years. So this is what I would like to mention. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Haridas. You have highlighted many challenges, and you also come up with very concrete suggestions. in energy saving measures, in planting more trees, solid waste conservation, sustainable farming practices, waste management, and burning of plastics. All the challenges that you have mentioned are well known, and the suggestions that you have made for action are doable, and I'm sure we'll all will be taking further action on them. So thank you very much. Now, as the next panelist, I am inviting Dr. Jayashree Venkatesh, who is Managing Trustee for Care Earth in Chennai. And she will speak around the subject importance of recognizing ecosystem processes for sustainable future. So, Dr. Jayashree, you are here. Dr. Jayashree is here.
One minute, I am calling her. Let me find out. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Dr. Jayashree, are you free? It is your. Oh, her audio is not working. That's the reason.
Okay. Okay. So, shall we wait? What did she
You
say?
can give to another speaker.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we
All
can
right. All
start
right.
with another speaker. Yes, we can
Yeah.
continue with another speaker.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Whenever she is ready, then let me know. So let me invite Mr. Rishabh Khanna, the next panel speaker, to speak on planetary health and food security. He has been co-founder of Indian Youth Climate Network and now Chief Impact Officer at Earth Bank. So, Mr. Rishabh Khanna, you're invited to speak.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, Rajesh ji, and thank you, Mr. Haridas, Dr. Haridas, Nishu, Ankit for the invitation, and Father Jolly for a great opening. Happy Earth Day to all of you. It's been a great pleasure to be part of this webinar, and I'm looking forward to share some of my insights going forward about people care and earth care, and what does food security look like in today's context. Well, I as earlier shared, I am one of the co-founders for the Indian Youth Climate Network, and I was quite young. I mean, I would say like maybe in my early 20s when I realized that there are a lot of environmental organizations, and some of us young people work for Greenpeace, WWF. I used to work for Dr. Vandana Shiva at that time, and we realized that we hardly collaborate. And this is one of the reasons why we thought young people should have their own platform, and especially since climate change was becoming such a global issue, it needed a voice. Youth needed a voice to be in these global platforms. And IYCN has, over the last 7 or 8 years, worked on policy advocacy. We have been influential in creating renewable energy policies for states like Jammu and Kashmir. We have been working with organizations like GIZ, with DFID, and as well as doing projects on waste management, like urban farming and all kinds of things. I have more worked on making sure that businesses start changing and transforming, because there's a limitation on how much you can raise your voice as a young person and advocate, but then you also need to somehow change the way business has done. And so that's the path I have taken on. I am a development economist by a background, and I have in the last 5 years been working with bankers, investment bankers all over the world to see how can we actually address some of the most pressing issues in the world. And so the challenge really is that all of us who, as human beings, over the last 10,000 years, or who kind of have thrived, and especially in the last 100 years, we have thrived because we have moved from a population of 2.2 billion in the late 1800s to almost touching 7. We are actually 7 billion plus on this planet today in the matter of 150 years. It took us, hundreds and thousands of years to come to 2.2 billion, and then suddenly in the 150 years we tripled. And so what has happened in the last 150 years? And why is it important for us to create this earth care and people care paradigm in post-COVID? So, I mean, just by taking and taking and taking from the earth, we can see that there is extreme poverty, even though absolute poverty has gone down in some countries like India and China. But you can still see a lot of inequality. There are, the top 50 people own as much as the 2.2 billion people, poorest people in the world. And the inequality in many countries, including Sweden, where I currently live, has worsened. You're seeing food insecurity and hunger, and we all know what's happening right now in this moment because of the COVID crisis. But generally, climate change is one of the issues. But you also must be aware that when in '92, when the Rio summit happened, they actually also created a convention on biodiversity and on land degradation. And we have seen massive land degradation in most parts of the world. And that has led to more food insecurity and hunger, droughts, and migration. So I think what essentially I'm proposing is, we have had a very mechanistic, reductionist way of thinking, and as earlier speakers have talked about, like Father Jolly has talked about, is how can we move to a new culture? So a culture where it's like, I want to take more from my own people, I want to take more from the earth, and how can you give back? How can you create the feeling of more sharing and caring? So of course, a lot of this has to do with the individual change and our moral values, and how close are we listening to what God or how higher power is telling us. Just like we young people felt, we need to unite and create something like the Indian Youth Climate Network. So we need to not only move from a degenerative planet to sustainable, but to a regenerative planet, to make sure that we have more for a growing population in the world. So what is Earth Bank? So it's a very young startup. It is a collaboration between a few people who worked together over the last 10 years on climate change from all over the world. Essentially, the whole idea is that we can create some kind of a sustainable revenue through nature-based solutions. So imagine if you today have a savings account, and what actually is your money doing in the savings account for peace or for nature? What actually is it giving back? Do you even know what it's doing? In fact, a few years back, even I didn't know that. And I spoke to many, investors who were saying, we're going to disinvest from fossil fuels. We're going to move to a more sustainable economy. But a lot of them didn't know what and how. And in fact, if you look at the global financial markets, we have currently $80 trillion in the global financial markets, and about 20-25%, in fact, is from faith institutions. It's from the temples, the churches, the mosques of the world. And so that's about $25 trillion. And imagine if these people, people who care about morals and values and ethics, if they've started to move their money to a more regenerative economy, what would it look like? And so this is just, like one example of what we are doing in the Sundarbans, is that we are saying that every time you deposit money in our product, which is the Earth Saver, you not only yield, you not only get a yield of 4 to 6%, which is basically invested in a microfinance institute in Sundarbans. But also for every 100 euros saved, you sequester 2 tons of carbon and generate 200 euros of ecosystem services. So what are these ecosystem services? These are like, this is what trees do all the time. They sequester CO2, they conserve the soil, they keep the water retained, all these ecosystem services which we normally don't value, but they actually do have a value. So I won't go into much, detail in nature-based solutions, but it's well known from IUCN that actually investing in nature is actually very, very good for nature and for the planet. This is what one of the products looks like. We just launched this on Saturday for the ecosystem restoration camps. John Liu has done massive land restoration works all over the world, especially in China. And so this is a card in which the members of the eco restoration camp can support the eco restoration camps through this card. So every time you use this card, you swipe this card, some money goes to the ecosystem restoration camps to restore the planet. So what we're actually doing in some parts of the world, so the money that we get from the savers is invested in a landscape approach. So in Sundarbans, the project we are doing there, what we're understanding that bioeconomy has a cash flow, and we need to understand that there are things like certain grasses. You would be aware of jute and shola, which are already have been sort of used as fibers, both for making idols and houses, but also used in the packaging industry, are quite fast growing, and they sequester carbon also quite fast. And then you have other, as mentioned by the previous speakers, fruit trees like mangoes and coconuts and bananas, and all of them grow, wild anyway. So it's not such a challenge for us to make that happen, which can actually yield a lot of the sustainable commodities. But the commodities actually that here I'm talking about is mostly, you could say, herbs and honey, which grow much faster within 6 months to a year. And of course, fruits would take longer time. So of course, a tree, if you plant a tree today, like a mango tree or a coconut tree, it would take 4 to 5 years for you to give you the fruits. But as you can see, if you actually have a proper landscape approach and you know what to grow and what will give you returns when, you can actually have a pretty good cash flow over, but from something very short term by doing grassland management to something very long term. And of course, you all know the cost of timber and the fact that we are currently importing most of our timber from Africa. So yeah, mangroves, I don't know how much you know about mangroves, but this, of course, ecosystem we are working in Sundarbans is very well known for its mangrove forests. And there you can see that it not only sequesters CO2 100 times more than a rainforest, but also provides food to the local ecosystems of the fish and the crabs. And I won't go much into details, but essentially how we are different from other companies that are kind of doing this is that we are trying to provide these kind of smartphones. And as you can imagine, today this is even more difficult with COVID. How do I actually access money? ATMs are closed, I can't travel. How can I buy my food? How can I communicate? And so if we can be on a smarter platform, you can not only measure impact, but also enable those transactions when it's difficult in crisis like this. And so you can see we are addressing a lot of the SDGs, like the reducing inequality, addressing hunger, getting decent work, climate action, and life on land. So this is what I would say, that we need to move from just taking from the planet and think about how can we actually every transaction, every time we save, every time we invest, how can we give back? Because we have taken a lot, from the Mother Earth, but how can we give back? It's just like, our parents have given a lot, what can we give back to our parents? So can we be, the true stewards of the planet? And this is just, one way. I'm sure there are many other ways. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Risham. This was a real different idea that you just shared and very useful. Sundarban area is also an area of interest and work for Caritas India, and we do have some work there with our partners for a very long time. And it will be good to later on discuss a little more about what Earth Bank is doing there and planning there, and how Caritas can also collaborate in that. Making the business and economy flourish on the basis of eco-generation activities is really a very noble idea, and I think all of us will like to take this idea forward. So thank you very much, Mr. Rishabh. Can I now?
Jayashree is available now.
Yeah, okay. So, I request Dr. Jayashree. I had already invited you, Dr. Jayashree, sometime
Yes, sir.
few minutes ago. Yeah. So,
Yes, sir.
please, you share your thoughts, and the time limit is now less than 10 minutes.
So not to worry, I'll wrap it up in 3 minutes because I really don't have much to share beyond what Hari and others have done. First up, apologies for the mix-up. Just to give a bit of a background, I am an ecologist, and so my bias is towards other life forms beyond human beings. The first point that has been actually repeatedly made since 1992, when the world signed the Convention on Biological Diversity, is that humans are just one species amongst the 18 million, approximately 18 million species that inhabit the Earth. Each of these is interconnected in a system. And that is the first point or first message that I wish to reiterate. I think Hari had already alluded to it. This recognition is very important because when we actually try to work with people, work with communities to improve their lives and livelihoods, somehow this gets ignored. We keep only humans as focus and try to work with humans to the neglect of the other species and the habitats that they are part of. So this is a planning error that has come to hit us very badly. In fact, this recent outbreak of the COVID virus is but one of the many instances where nature has actually tried to send us a message saying, please keep all life forms and their connections and their kind of interdependency into consideration. I think it's important that we revisit this point and do things that are far more holistic and integrated. The second point that I wish to make is something that may not be sounding all that well in such a august forum, but let me still go ahead and do it. Correction in nature is very difficult to make. We all believe that restoration is possible. We all put our heads, hearts, and soul into it and work. But the point is, many of the natural systems beyond a threshold capacity, beyond a threshold limit, irreversibly flip into very, very degraded conditions. This is especially true of wetlands, and wetlands, as we very well know, are integral to the functioning of agrarian systems. So wetlands are very difficult to restore. The easiest thing to restore would probably be a home garden. But any natural, semi-natural, near-natural system, once degraded beyond a point, is very, very difficult to restore. So once we've lost it forever. When this happens, apart from the fact that we lose out on a lot of provisioning and regulating services that nature provides, what it also does is it brings into contact humans and wildlife forms that are really not supposed to be interacting. In fact, COVID is just but an example of how a messed up kind of an interaction between wildlife and humans has led to something very, very detrimental. So it is very important that when we actually try to intervene, we keep this into mind that restoration is never a 100% goal. We can at least set benchmarks and attempt to reach benchmarks. Very often, after 30 years of working in the field, I find that only 10% restoration is a feasible kind of an amount. So it's important that we preserve whatever little we have. The third point I wish to highlight is, while all of us talk about provisioning services of nature, there is one particular service of nature, the ecosystem service, which is always neglected. That is the regulating service. In fact, nature is a corrector. Nature is an enabler. Nature is also a corrector. We talk about enabling services of nature, but we forget that there is a correctional facility also. What we are witnessing today, whether it be this virus outbreak or so many other kind of things like dip in productivity, floods, flash floods, storm surges, all these are but nature's way of correcting the system. As one species amongst, once again I repeat, 18 million species, we really don't have the bandwidth to accommodate the kind of correction that is imposed on it. Now, while we are all talking about how wildlife and other life forms, I mean, Hari also alluded to birds and butterflies making an appearance. There are two possibilities. One, these are not being affected, which tells us that wildlife or other life forms are far more resilient than humans. Or two, which is more important, is that maybe we did not notice them all these years. In fact, we've just now started a series called Balcony Biodiversity in our Facebook page, for those of you who are interested. The kind of photographs that are being published there tells us that we failed in our appreciation of nature. So essentially, our ignorance, our lack of empathy, our lack of compassion is what has contributed to Earth what it is today. At the same time, when we set our agenda, we set it for our future. We set it for our future generations, where some steps have to be really hard. We can no longer soft pedal issues. We cannot handle issues with a soft glove. We need to take corrective action. Some of this action will have to be very hard. We have to take tough decisions. We have to keep our head far above our heart and go forward. And this is all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jayashree. Very important points you made, and also warning us that regeneration is not always successful, and once we have lost some natural resources, it's very difficult to correct them, and it becomes quite irreversible. Though we try to be happy with those 10% successful cases for us to give us some hope, but this is your observation is really correct, that correcting is really very difficult. And of course, our approach has to be holistic, not only on human beings, but the entire nature, all species together, whole earth as one family, as we say. So thank you very much, Dr. Jayashree. And now I would like to invite Mr. Kaushik Dovera, who is PhD scholar in Pondicherry University, Ecology and Environment Science Department, to speak on reimagining lifestyle post COVID-19. Mr. Kaushik.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. A very happy Earth Day. And thank you, Caritas India, for this wonderful opportunity. And most of all, I'd like to thank you for the wonderful prayer session in the morning. It was very nostalgic. Okay, so so I'm going to talk about, like you said, reimagining sustainable lifestyle post COVID-19. So first of all, one of the first things that we study in ecology is that the Earth functions as a series of processes and cycles that are interlinked, and because of these processes, the Earth gets going on, and we human beings are just a part of this processes. However, of the time, we have seen that human beings have started dominating and manipulating these natural processes, and they have even gone on to propose an geological epoch known as Anthropocene to mark human supremacy on the planet. So, but however, the Earth has time and again warned us about our activities. And I think COVID-19 is one of such warnings that Earth is trying to give us to rethink about what we are doing. Okay, so before proceeding, first of all, I'd like to briefly discuss about how agriculture intensification, climate change, and these pathogenic outbreaks are interconnected. So first of all, see, all the pathogenic outbreaks that are happening. See, COVID-19 is not one of its kind. It has there have been many pathogenic outbreaks in the past, and it is likely that many pathogenic outbreaks are going to happen in the future. So one thing that is common among all of these outbreaks is that they are somehow or the other related to climate change and agriculture intensification. In 2004, Lama, Kenya, there was a chikungunya virus outbreak. And during that time, Kenya experienced long dry climatic conditions, because of which the virus could develop properly in the Aedes mosquito. Also, this dry climatic conditions led people to have adopt some unhygienic water storage practices, which led on to 75% of the population being infected. Again, in the southwestern desert region of United States, because of prolonged La Nina events, long spells of cold climatic conditions are observed, because of which the bacterial plague levels in the rodents have gone up. Now, it is estimated that by 2050, there will be 10 billion people to feed. And what are we doing about it? We are seeing that is being done in that agriculture front is agriculture intensification, which basically means intrusion into wildlife ecosystems and industrial monoculture production. So, which basically are breeding grounds for pathogens to jump from animals to human beings. Not to forget, it leads to biodiversity loss of natural pollinators, and also emergence of antibiotic resistant strains of pathogens. Also, because of climate change, it is seen that in many parts of the world, the livestock and poultry experiences heat stress, because of which the metabolism of the livestock goes bad, and to keep up with the growth and productivity, the farmers inject antibiotics to the livestock, because of which many pathogens which are resistant to antimicrobial are developed, and which once emerges, it becomes very difficult to control. Now, I'd like to discuss about how what we can learn about climate change crisis from this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. So we have been talking about climate change for over 30 years now, and there have been lots of discussions, a lot of talks going on, and also many people are, and many communities, many organizations are doing a tremendous amount of wonderful work in different parts of this world. The thing is, that has proved not to be enough. We need the participation of everybody, every individual, and every and all the investors, all the government networks, everybody. And the important lessons that this COVID-19 pandemic has taught us is that it has basically shown us a mirror of what the climate change crisis might actually look like, and what our shortcomings are. First of all, the whole layback attitude that we have. Even though we are being warned time and again about climate change crisis, we have taken it very lightly, very leniently, similar to COVID-19. For the longest time, we were not being attentive about the calamity that it was about to bring, although scientists were warning about it all over the world. So unless and until it crossed a threshold and the crisis became apparent, only then we started taking measures. Similarly, the second point is that in any crisis, it is seen that the people from the lower strata of the economy are the most hard hit. They are the people who work from paycheck to paycheck. They're the daily wagers. And since if we are not prepared to address the crisis that the climate change is about to bring, we are definitely going to have a really difficult time as a human race. And thirdly, it is seen the whole the question of international solidarity comes into question when we are not prepared for a crisis like this. First of all, we have seen about like multiple examples of countries trying to stop export of sanitary materials to other countries, because of course their own citizens are their prime concern in a crisis like this. And secondly, also there are alleged reports of countries trying to receive exclusive access to any vaccine in development to fight COVID-19. So this only questions the whole solidarity, of international solidarity when it comes to a crisis like this. And fourth, the most important thing is the economic crisis. So we have always been investing on short-term benefits. We have not, climate change is not a short-term benefit investment, of course. It is a long-term thing, and we have to invest in it right now. But no, we are more interested in the short-term benefits that we get from the economy. And this is going to make us pay a lot. Now, one thing about climate change is that it's not as unidirectional as COVID-19. COVID-19 is a virus, but still it has shown us what it can do. But climate change is going to affect different people of the world in different ways. People in Australia are going to be affected differently than people in India. There was a bushfire incident in Australia this year. There was heavy rainfall episodes in India last year, which led on to many flash floods all over the country. So what I'm trying to say is there is no vaccine for climate change. The only thing we can do is reimagine and rethink our lifestyle and think that all the things that we have been doing wrong so far and rectify it. And now is the time. And lastly, I would like to discuss on rethinking our lifestyle post-COVID-19. Okay, so there are many reports all over the world of tigers coming and sleeping on the roadside because of no traffic. There are instances of dolphins, showing themselves on the beaches, and lots of such examples in rural and urban areas, and wildlife reclaiming their original habitats, and also conservation biologists are reporting that because of this whole lockdown, lots of sensitive animals are experiencing reduced stress because of human visits, and also tramplings on the popular trails are reducing stress on the sensitive organisms. So, and if we look at all the good things that are happening right now, including the improved air quality standards, we will have our answer. We know what we have to do, but the thing is, we have to make we have to take that chance, and we have to take the risk and make the change. First of all, rethinking our basic needs. First, in this crisis, we have seen that the most important thing that people are facing is food crisis, and it is the time when we have to switch. And agriculture intensification is definitely not the answer to addressing food crisis. So we have to switch completely to the whole thing about sustainable agriculture. And yeah, people are doing lots of things in this field, locally and globally. The thing is, this is not enough, because we need a bigger market for sustainable agriculture products, and we need all the investors, all the government officials to actually participate, and completely switch to this whole sustainable agriculture market. Secondly, we need to rethink our energy resources. For our whole economy is focused on fossil fuel. Our economy is fossil fuel driven. We need to refocus our economy from fossil fuels to other alternatives of fossil fuels. Yeah, and this is not going to be very cheap or easy. It is going to be expensive, and also it's going to be difficult. But the thing is, we will have to make that risk if we want our future generations to experience the beauty of life on Earth. And also, importantly, we also need to be self-sustained when it comes to energy production. Solar energy production has become so easy nowadays. You can just install a solar panel on your house, and you can just have your own energy source. So the thing is, we have to rethink all those things. And there is also, I have a friend who is producing biodiesel from algae he has captured from the seawater, and he uses that biodiesel to actually run his vehicle. So the thing is, these kind of things need sponsorship to be done in a larger scale, and those are the changes that we need to make. And lastly, and most importantly, we need to make the Earth a greener place. And for that, And for that, the most important thing is rethinking our basic needs. If today somebody asks us what our basic needs are, we are more likely to say food delivery service or ticket to some play, travel tickets or internet. Yes, of course. But the thing is, we need to rethink that. We have to be self-secure in terms of food and of course we have the internet. But the thing is, how much are we making use of the internet to reduce the whole stress on the environment? See, today we are
Mr.
gathered
Kaushik,
here.
I request you to kindly conclude as soon as possible.
Yeah, sure. So the thing is, today we are gathered here, and we are, and it's been a wonderful session on that we are conducting through internet, through the web. And so these are just small examples. And the thing is, lastly, I'd just like to say is that yes, most of the things and ideas that so many people are proposing might seem very idealistic and non rational. But the thing is, once you start doing it, you will see the changes for yourself. People have done things and people are doing things, and if you look at those examples, you will believe in the change. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kaushik. You raised some very valid points, especially about the agriculture intensification and how that may not be the answer to address the food crisis, and your emphasis on sustainable agriculture and new ways of life is also well taken. Surely, I would like to also emphasize on your point related to the impact of all the climate change and also crisis like COVID, how it is going to impact more and more the poorest sections of the society, the daily wagers, the migrant laborers. We are seeing it in India at a very large scale, and we are really worried about it. Caritas India is taking a lot of effort to reach to these communities which are affected and provide them some relief. And we also look forward to planning some long-term interventions on this subject. So thank you very much, Mr. Kaushik. We have from the panel side, the last speaker, Ms. Ruth, who has been an old participant in the Earth Day programs from Darjeeling district, and how was the 90-day challenge and role of youth in climate action. Ms. Ruth, are you there? Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Ruth, you are welcome, and please conclude your sharing within 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hi everyone, myself Ruth Mukhya from Kalimpong, West Bengal, India, and I am the president of my children's club from Bal Suraksha
Can
Abhiyan under.
you arrange your phone a little? We can only see your eyes. You can show your face also. Yeah, better. Perfect. Yeah.
Am I audible?
You are, yes, you are. Okay. Yes, you are audible. Go ahead.
West Bengal, India, and I am the president of my children's club from Bal Suraksha Abhiyan under Caritas. So as I want to share about my 90 days challenge. Recently, in 2019, I was attending a program organized by Cats Asia, and we have practiced a lot of activities related to children participation. And I want to tell in brief that before joining Bal Suraksha Abhiyan as a children's club member, I used to be a very shy, introvert kind of person. But after joining the children's club, of Bal Suraksha Abhiyan, I have gained a lot of guts and courage to face the people, to talk with people, to face a large number of people. And we have been working on the observation of Earth's Day network also. And we are, according to me and according to my children's club members, other members also, awareness is the best method or strategy, because a single person cannot bring the change, according to me. For that, we need a unity and a team amongst us
So here I live in a very small village. I'm from Kalimpong, and here in our village there are many talented children, and they they support me as a children's club president. They are always supporting me, and we do many awareness sessions with our staff members of Bal Suraksha Abhiyan. They guide us, they lead us, and we do many awareness sessions. We have done awareness sessions in the schools, in the learning centers, in the self-help groups, and many other places where we can give awareness to the large number of people. And we also do cleanliness activities. Uh, we have also done the dustbin installations in our places. From our like uh, every month we keep children's club meeting, and we collect 5 to 10 rupees, and all the children are very supportive, and they contribute their pocket monies, and by that we buy like dustbins and other like the hygiene products, and we just install them in schools and learning centers for children. And yes, it has been 5 to 6 years working with Bal Suraksha Abhiyan under Caritas, and I am still learning, and I want to learn more about it, and also want to bring up a change in climate also. And thank you, Caritas. Thank you, Caritas, also, because they have given me lots of opportunities and big platforms to learn through Bal Suraksha Abhiyan. And on this Earth Day, I pledge to avoid the consumption of plastic products, and to spread the awareness about the environmental issues to the large number of people as much as I can. So lastly, I want to conclude by saying thank you so much for joining me today on this video conference. I feel very special, and I'm feeling really happy to join on this video. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruth. You were representing all the young children who have been participating in the Earth Day Network activities in different districts and states in partnership with Caritas India. And children like you are the real hope for us for a better future. So thank you very much. We were, as per our earlier schedule, we had planned to conclude this meeting by 1, but maybe we can continue for 15 more minutes till 1:15 or so. I had sent you message that whoever wants to ask any questions or make a suggestion or make a comment, they are invited for this open question and answer session or the open session. First of all, so far I have got 2 names. Others can also send their names. So first, I'm inviting Dr. John Raj from Chennai to either ask or share suggestion, whatever he wants to share. Yes, Dr. John.
Thanks, Mr. Rajesh, and thanks to the. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Thanks,
John.
Mr. Rajesh, and thanks to the panelists for the wonderful presentation. As the speakers rightly said, exploited, polluted, denuded, and is sick, and the health is sinking. As one Swamiji said in yesterday's interfaith seminar, the present lockdown is a cleansing process, and it's a nature's corrective measure. But this lockdown will not and cannot continue forever. How are we going to maintain the health of the Mother Nature? And also, what indicators we can have to monitor the health, to gauge the health of the earth periodically, not in a scientific manner, but at the grassroots level. And also, our day-to-day activities have direct bearing on the health of earth. How to bring in balance and proper connect in our diet consumption pattern, agriculture practices, and technology. And in this, what could be the practical roles the CSOs can assume, and especially with regard to community sensitization. And I would like to give a small message that we have to strongly take across our partners and also with our stakeholders, the governance system, that the resources that are available in the earth are not meant for some, not some for all, but all for some. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. John. For our questions, I don't know who will answer, but not right now. First, let us have the reflections and questions if there are. And of course, in such a short duration, we may not be able to find all the answers, but let us share them. Now I invite Prabal from Assam. Is Prabal around?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Prabal, you are audible. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thanks to our management and the speakers for giving us all the insightful knowledge on this auspicious day. I would like to share one photograph, if I'm allowed to.
Yes.
Just give me a second, sir. I'm not able to do that. I would just like to inform the August gathering that instead of the lockdown, we have a lockdown all across the country, including the northeastern zone. So our people in almost all the states in northeastern region today have within their households, I would like to inform that they have planted trees, and I am receiving too many photographs and all that. I would have loved to share one collage, but I'm not able to share. Secondly, this is one thing that our people have followed by strictly abiding the lockdown guidelines, including hand wash and everything. Secondly, what little things our we are doing in maintaining the balance in the ecosystem and all that. We are promoting plantations, and as Ankit has been encouraging all the time. Thanks, Ankit, for all that. Small things matter, sir. So what we do is, like, we are promoting mainly plantations, and northeast zone today it has been able to go ahead with plantations of more than close to 50,000 saplings. We are following up, and I have no questions at the moment. I am thankful to all the speakers for giving us the insightful knowledge on this day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabal, for all the efforts that you and all other organizations are making in the northeast part of India. Now I invite Ray to share some reflections.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
this
we
is
can
Ray
hear
here. Yeah, I feel I'm part of the family of Caritas as well, and also the climate family. I have been practicing child-centered resilience in the face of climate change for the last 4 or 5 years. I just wanted to place on record, besides the speakers, 2 or 3 important areas. One, last year, Greta Thunberg, a 16, 17-year-old girl, influenced a big part of the world with her small action called Fridays for Future, school strike for climate. And she was awarded the Person of the Year because she also walked the talk. And those of you who have seen her films, and the way she kind of shattered the thinking of IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Very important to take on stock. And I'm very happy that Mukhya spoke, and she is somehow a future leader for us. And I would like to see hundreds and thousands of such leaders for future. The second important thing I would like to mention is about Pope Francis' encyclical called Laudato Si. our common home. It is like new socio-economic technological gospel for our time. And being a religious leader too, he has been accepted by the political leadership as well as the larger community in the world. He said some very profound things, calling this earth our common home. And then the harsh reality is that the earth is looking like a mound of filth and it is growing every day, through which we are unable to hear the cry of the poor and the cry of the earth. So how do we balance inequality and imbalance? So this is something that I just wanted to bring. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other point we are being told very strongly by this document is integral ecology. So this is where nature, human life need to balance each other. So probably one of the things from the speakers I am picking up is how can we develop some models in hotspots like mangroves or where land is degraded. My final point is about the migrant laborers. The day national lockdown was announced, we have seen about 400 million landless poor locked in urban conglomerations and informal settlements who have set on a journey. And 2 days ago, very shattering to see that a 12-year-old girl on 19th of April died walking in Chhattisgarh, from Andhra Pradesh to Chhattisgarh, Telangana to Chhattisgarh. And she walked 100 miles and could not do another 50 miles and died there due to exhaustion, etc. So again, this displacement and landlessness, what are those local adaptation initiatives that we can take to help children, youth, illiterate housewives, and laborers from the agriculture and other sectors? Thank you.
Thanks, Ray, for sharing these very relevant observations and suggestions and emphasizing on the child-led resilience processes. I will request Father Peter D'Souza, who has been making a lot of suggestions in the chat box. Father Peter, will you like to speak for a minute so that those who are not reading the messages can also know what you want to say? Father Peter? Hello? I'm seeing a lot of messages from him. Okay, if, he can join later also. In the meantime, I have one request from Rohan to share something. Rohan?
Hello.
Yeah. Please share in a minute what you want to share.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to mention that this is one of a special kind of seminars that I have been invited to by one of the members from your team, and I've been shared some of the other works of Caritas India, because I'm somebody who works in the corporate sector and is not closely associated with any organization that specifically works for climate change. But this is something that we all have to work for at an individual level as well. And given the surroundings we live in, maximum kind of efforts that we could do or have done in past is either planting a sapling or keeping our closed spaces and surroundings clean. And probably that's the maximum effort an individual can take. But given some stories shared by, I think, Mr. Kaushik and Miss Ruth, it was quite encouraging to hear them. And what I was looking for is from their stories that there are people who are working more on individual level and not probably associated with an organization, who are developing, say, biofuel at home and things like that. So probably if these stories come out more and are being shared, people will be encouraged more to take efforts towards climate change, because these are some of the issues that come way later in people's lives. after arranging their bread and butter and looking after the family.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Rohan, thank you. I have one request from Lindo Francis. Hello. Hello. Can we hear from Lindo Francis or Father Peter? Any of you can speak? Hello, is somebody trying to share something? Hello, is somebody trying to share something? Trouble. So if Father Peter and Lindo cannot speak, then is anybody else who wants to speak here?
Sir, I think if there's nobody speaking, we can probably continue and, like we can wind up the webinar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyone who wants to say anything at this point of time before we go for conclusion?
Just one suggestion. This is Ray from my side.
Yeah,
Probably Caritas, with its presence in India and over Asia, and also in every nook and corner of India, why don't we commit to plant 1 billion trees in next 365 days?
So I have a good news since we talked about trees. Nishu again. I have a good news to share with all. So in 2016, Earth Day Network India had released a program called Trees for Earth, as a mission of which our aim was to plant 7.8 billion trees by the end of 2020. This was worldwide. That is one tree for each person living on this planet. And I'm happy to state that with support of partners like Caritas and many other organizations that we have been working in India, today we have planted over 934 million trees. So we have been working extensively on this with various organizations and corporates and NGOs. So this is a ray of hope, but I do agree that trees are a very essential part of our life, and we also support growing of native and fruit trees, because those are again important, not the decorative trees that we usually go after. Native trees are important because they help species exist on the food that they need and to support the living systems. So I was just happy, and with that, I would like to really thank Caritas, Ankit, Rajesh ji, Father Polly, for organizing this wonderful seminar. It was really great to listen to all the important presentations, and thank you all once again.
Yeah, then let me say a few words to conclude here. Ray, your suggestion is very useful, and though I will not like to commit here without discussion in the team, but this idea definitely we will like to discuss in our team how we can go about it. I think this last 2 hours have been very useful for all of us. We learned a lot, and especially from some very new things we heard from Mr. Rishabh, and Earth Day Network activities also were, I think, definitely eye-opener for a lot of our colleagues who have not so far been engaged in the Earth Day Network campaign, though some of our colleagues and partners have been involved. So I'm sure through this webinar, they also got to know a lot more, and voluntarily they will be taking a lot more activities in their own areas. Some very concrete suggestions that came during this discussion will need a follow-up, and I don't want to repeat them, but I'm sure that uh, uh, since this meeting is recorded and Ankit would be taking notes, we will get these follow-up action points from them. And that will be circulated. Ankit, they can be circulated as soon as possible to our whole email list to the people who are participating in this program. One thing is very definite, that this COVID-19 crisis has shown us that we can really change drastically when there is enough motivation, as is mentioned in our concept note, that because of the COVID-19, we have changed a lot. We have tried to change uh, ourselves. We have tried to change. Prabal, can you stop this?
I'm not doing anything. I don't know how come this is coming.
You cross that. You close your session. Yeah. So yeah. So that
Stop the
is one
share
thing.
screen. Stop the share screen approach. Close the share screen.
There is a cross mark on your share icon. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now it is gone. Yeah. So then also there is a lot of discussion now and suggestion about changing our own lifestyles, this which is always a difficult thing, but it is also a possibility that COVID-19 crisis had shown us that we can change, and our changing lifestyle can regenerate the planet Earth, as we are witnessing right now, with the improvement of quality in air, improvement of quality in water, and so on. A lot of work needs to be done on our how we handle our agriculture, how we handle our energy needs, what kind of energy sources we need, how we can promote waste management and sustainable farming. Rishabh shared a lot about how at the macroeconomic level also we can integrate a lot of activities for eco generation, and there can be, at least to some extent, some kind of a combination there. Similarly, Dr. Jayashri, though she warned us that correction in nature is very difficult and it's not always possible, that's definitely one case, but the suggestion to look at things holistically and in an integrated way, and not to limit ourselves only to the development of human beings, but to be one and integrated with all the species on the earth, and with the mother earth. Ecosystem enabling was another important area which drew our attention, and also the international solidarity that is needed. So we see that youngsters and children like Ruth and Greta are the new generation is becoming more and more sensitive and active. That gives us hope. Uh, our hope is also derived by the fact that people are getting more and more aware and more sensitive to the changing climate situation, and they are committing themselves to change. Though we have certain say governments or corporate interests or some lifestyles, consumerist values which try to stop us from doing it, but there is no other way but to change ourselves and change the system that we have been following. And I'm sure that COVID-19 crisis is going to drastically increase the awareness of the whole globe on this subject. Besides health, also how the climate change is connected to it. A lot of things on this front was shared by Mr. Kaushik as well. That is helpful to us. So we can conclude that we have a lot of challenges, but we have a lot of suggestions for action. We are already acting. In last 1 year of campaign with Earth Day Network, we have involved thousands of children and citizens and in different activities. So there is hope in action. There is hope in changing our lifestyles, and we will continue this campaign not only at our individual level, as someone shared that we have to do it at our individual lifestyle and also at the community lifestyle. So I will like to conclude here that all your suggestions are noted. The learnings are taken. I hope it was useful for everyone who was here. And there will be plans for this year during COVID crisis and beyond COVID crisis to further save the Mother Earth and save this planet. So thank you. I will invite now Ankit to for the vote of thanks, and then we will conclude. Ankit.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so thank you, sir. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I would like to start by thanking the management, Most Reverend Father Paul, Executive Director, Caritas India, Father Jolly, Assistant Executive Director, Caritas India, and Father Sushil, Administrator, Caritas India, for providing this opportunity to Climate Desk, ECOSIDE, to organize this webinar. We are very thankful for your constant support and guidance, without which the webinar would not have been possible. I, on behalf of Caritas India and Earth Day Network, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the speakers, Ms. Nishu Kaul, Dr. Jayashri, Dr. Haridas, Mr. Rishabh Khanna, Mr. Kaushik, and Ms. Ruth for gracing your important work and sharing with us your important findings and opinions today. I'm very grateful to Rajesh sir for moderating today's session so well. Your support is immense. Thank you so much, sir. I would take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to Mr. Patrick, Mr. Amit, Mr. Raka, and Mr. Allen, my colleagues at Caritas India, for helping us with communication and IT support. I would finally like to extend my sincerest thanks to Dr. Haridas, Manager Climate Desk EcoSide, Caritas India, for we feel very fortunate to be backed by your constant support and motivation. It is a delight to work under your supervision. Thank you all for participating in today's webinar. We hope to see you again next time, and we shall upload this video on our social media platforms. Thank you very much. See you soon. See you again. And happy Earth Day. Okay.
Thank you, Ankit.
Okay, now I
Yes,
can
thank
end
you
it.
so much.
Okay.
Okay, bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you so much.
Got it.